What is the best fog light to upgrade to in your own personal vehicle? In this video, we're going to compare some of the best brands on the market today, like Diode, Morimoto, Auxbeam, Alpharex, and so much more. We're going to find out if they're brighter or less bright, if they've got a good wide beam pattern. We're going to discuss the warranty and so much more. We wasted all of our money so that you don't have to. The first thing I want to talk about is the light outputs. To give you a quick idea of how we tested, we pushed this table closer than I normally would want to, and that's just so we can see the actual width. We don't want the wall to cut it off because width is super important when it comes to fog lights. We're using this, which is the Konica Minolta T10A Lux meter. This measures the intensity at a certain point, and so all we're trying to do is compare one of these fog lights to another. We're going to use the same exact power supply that's mounted underneath this table, all of them at the exact same height, the exact same distance, to try to give you the best representation of each one of these when it comes to light output. Let's first show you guys the Elite series from Diode. As you can see by the Diode, this is the standard when it comes to light output from a fog light. If your fog light output does not look something like this, where it's got a beautiful cutoff line on the top, just throw it away. You need something that looks like this. This is a fog light meant to help you see into the ditches and low down on your vehicle. This is not meant to be a low beam or high beam assist. Look at your original stock halogen lights. As you can see, it's spreading that light all over the place. It's that dingy yellow color, and it is not what we want in this scenario. The Diode, we measured 740 maximum lux, which was 76% brighter than your stock halogen lights. The OEM LED lights were about 20% less bright than the halogen. It's kind of silly, but it does have a more refined beam pattern, as you see. It's very slim, just like the Diode. It's just not very wide and really not intense at all. Keep in mind, this type of fog light is left and right specific, so you're only seeing half the beam pattern here because we're just using one light output in the studio on this wall. You can also purchase this in a yellow version, so if you wanted a yellow fog light from Diode, it looks like this. Now, I often see about a loss of 30% when it comes to brightness out of a yellow compared to a white version. And yes, we did lose brightness. We measured 580 maximum lux, which is about 38% brighter still than your stock halogen lights. It's still a sizable upgrade. It's very bright and it is super wide. It's got the beam pattern. Like I said, this is the benchmark here. Here's another popular one that you would find on Amazon. This Bicyaco, or however you pronounce it, from Amazon. It's a cheap LED replacement fog light, and in this case I measured 800 maximum lux. So yes, it's still bright, but it doesn't give me what I want when it comes to beam pattern. It was 90% brighter than your stock, and this is what the all-new Morimoto XB Evo looks like when it comes to light output. As you can see, it's super wide. It's got that refined beam pattern just like I was showing you with the Diode. It's slim and doesn't have any light casting all over the ceiling or the floor. It's putting the light where it needs to be. You got some in the ditches, you got some in the center, and I measured 570 maximum lux. So this is 35% brighter than your stock halogen. It's definitely not the brightest out of all of these, but it sure does provide a beam pattern that everybody needs. The cool part about these fog lights, this is the XB Evo Plus. When you turn your fog lights off and back on again, you get this yellow output. The major difference is this is the best and most refined yellow beam pattern that I have yet to see. Remember, this is from the same exact fog light. It's really hard to place those chips in just the right spot to get the optics right, to not have any scattered light by switching over to the yellow chips. Morimoto did a really good job refining this beam pattern in both the yellow and white version. For the yellow, I measured 340 maximum lux, which is 19% less bright than your stock halogen, which is pretty on par and normal for yellow output. When you power up the Recon fog light, it looks like this. And as you can see, compared to the others that you've seen, this is laughable. What is this, a combo beam pattern from a fog light? I have no idea why you would want a beam pattern like this in your fog light area. This is stupid. If it's aimed too high, you're blinding oncoming drivers. If it's aimed too low, you're blinding yourself. We'll dive a little bit deeper into this fog light as to why it sucks, mostly because it's really expensive, but this light output ain't it. Oddly enough, I measured 840 maximum lux, which is one of the brightest that you're going to see in this entire shootout, But again, that makes no sense. Just because it's 100% brighter than your stock halogen does not mean it's good. It's putting that light right in the center. Any fog light manufacturer can focus all of the light in the center and say, whoop-de-doo, look at me, I'm brighter. That's not what we're here for when it comes to fog lights. When you install a Auxbeam fog light, it looks like this. Again, I measured a lot of brightness, 840 maximum lux, which was 100% brighter than your stock halogen. This was the same lux or intensity at a certain point as the Recon one we had just measured. To spoil the surprise, those are both actually the brightest out of all of these. This is a really weird beam pattern. This doesn't have an intense light on the top and then have a gradient of light going down to then not blind you. It's literally just this eyelid with some wings. I don't know what they were thinking, but this, when you project it down the road, does not do anything for you. It just puts the light too far down in the center, in my opinion, and it's not really refined. It does have a lot more features that I'll show you guys in just a bit. When you install the Alpharex pod light, it looks like this. The only issue with this is look at the top and the bottom. As you can see here, this is that scattered light that I was talking about. This little bit of glare is definitely going to be blinding oncoming drivers, and people are going to complain that your fog lights are too bright looking, but really it's just scattering a little bit of that light at the top and the bottom. But here's the issue with this fog light. Yes, it does this really cool feature where it switches back from white to yellow if you turn them off and back on again. So you can produce two different colors out of this one fog light. The Dow Dynamics fog light does not do this, so this is a win when it comes to features, but the beam pattern of the yellow light output is not what we like. Again, it's scattering that light all over, and I also noticed that it actually shifts the light up a little bit. I measured 390 maximum lux on the white version, which was actually 7% less bright than your stock halogen. That is a loss. When I switched it back to yellow, I measured 250 maximum lux, which is normal for yellow lights to be very dim, but it's actually 40% less bright in this case. Before I really dive into the rest of those fog lights and tell you about the features, I wanted to show you guys these stock ones, the benchmark that we were using here. This is your stock halogen. Now, obviously this is an F2 style, but the output was pretty similar. There's the Type S, the Type T, the F2. You can look them all up on our website, headlightrevolution.com. Essentially, this is a halogen bulb that you're going to have to replace now and again. It looks like this, and it bounces off of the reflectors on the inside, producing that light output that you saw. As you can see, it scatters the light. It's going to blind you by putting all of that light right down in front of you instead of out where you need it and into the ditches. So this is obviously a no-go, and that's why you're watching this video. You want an upgrade. You don't want something that's going to scatter the light. If you're upgrading from the LED version, I totally get it. If your vehicle came equipped with this LED F2 style, it does have a better beam pattern. It's not scattering that light, but what's really funny is that this LED chip shooting off on these reflectors actually produce less brightness than the halogen version. No idea why they didn't make this one a little bit brighter. It does go to show you that Ford, I guess, was paying attention to the fact that you don't need the brightest thing in your fog lights. Or maybe it was just that they could not make it any brighter. I don't know. All I'm saying is either one of these is not good. Let's dive into ones that might actually be good. I'm gonna start with the Dow Dynamics Elite Series. Now, if you're a lighting enthusiast of any sort, you probably already heard of the Dow Dynamics Elite Series fog light. Remember, this directly replaces your original fog light. It's very plug and play. They boast of a light output that is 80 degrees wide, but that's just on the box. And when you look into the product description of this F2, that is the Ford style, remember it's very similar to the rest of the styles like Type T and Type S. As far as output goes, some are a little bit wider. This is the widest version. In the description of this product, it said 100-degree field of view, which I can believe it because that light output that we saw was very bright. Now, as you can see here, I do have two of them here. They're separate. There is a white version and a yellow version. So they do not do both like some of those other brands that you saw in the light outputs. If you want a white version, get the white version. If you want a yellow version, you are gonna have to buy the separate SKU and get the yellow fog light. Can't have both, but they do have a backlight. Now, when I opened this box, I realized to get that backlight, it wasn't my favorite thing. You've got some T-taps, and they're kind of the generic T-taps that you see here. They're not waterproof. You might have some water intrusion. My assumption is that you're going to have to pull the front end of your vehicle. You're gonna have to get to the back side of your headlight, and then you're gonna have to tap in with this T-tap here into a parking light of some sort. And that'll allow you to have that backlight function. I do think it's really cool. So if you're driving around and you have that amber backlight, it's not super bright, you're not blinding oncoming drivers, but it's also a safety feature. I do like a backlight, and I wish all fog lights that we can purchase these days have a backlight. These fog lights are SAE F3 compliant if you install them on your vehicle. They were engineered and assembled in the United States, and they boast a 93% increase in candela when compared to your stock halogen lights. The white version is a 6000 K color temperature, which is a true cool white output. The selective yellow option is that 3000 K in color temperature, which is great for high contrast in inclement weather. When I say pricing throughout this video, just note that it's at the time I ordered these products. The pricing changes all the time per website. It depends on if you're on Amazon or their own personal website. So at the time of this video, we purchased the Diode Dynamics Elite Series fogs for around $220. The Diode Dynamics Elite Series fog lights come with an 8-year warranty. Now, if you're the type of person that just takes a straight guess as to what's going to be best, you go down Amazon and you see something that looks pretty good, like this one here. This is an Amazon listing. It was Bicyaco or something. You'll see it for around 57 bucks or something. There are LEDs inside, and it looks like these little projector shrouds, or whatever you want to call them, are going to produce a good beam pattern, but as you can see, it just wasn't there. This does boast that it's a IP67 rating, so it's waterproof. It also says that it's DOT, SAE, and EMARC compliant with their top LEDs, which I'm assuming is what they put into here. I do see a 1-year warranty on this really cheap Amazon product, but a 1-year warranty is not enough. That means they do not stand behind their product like the Diode Dynamics. The one you just saw was an 8-year warranty, and that is more like it. You want something that's going to just be put in there. You don't want to keep doing this install. Yeah, the install is really easy. You remove a couple of bolts to gain access to the backside of your fog light. You can replace it. It's usually plug and play for the most part. Now, if you don't care what the output even looks like and you want it to be blinded when you're driving down the road instead of seeing into the ditches like you need to with fog lights, sure, this is probably a very good fog light for you. It will fail and you will have to replace it real soon. I'm a huge believer in you get what you pay for. And in my opinion, I wouldn't put this on my vehicle. It does not have a backlight. It does not do multiple functions. It's simply on or off, and it's, like I said, going to blind you. Let's get on to the next one. It is my goal to make this as unbiased as possible because I want you guys to make an informed decision when upgrading your vehicle. But I do want to let you know that we are owned by the same organization that owns Morimoto. So the organization that owns Morimoto also owns Headlight Revolution, but I do want to just show you guys the facts. This is the all-new Morimoto Evo fog light, and it is way better than their original version. The original version just wasn't as bright as I wanted it to be, and it definitely wasn't as wide. This produces a 106-degree light output out of this one fog light. That is wild. It is the widest beam pattern that you're going to see here. There's a bunch of others that are more bright than this, but this produces a very good beam pattern. The Diode Dynamics was brighter than this Morimoto Evo fog light, but the width wasn't quite there. And personally, I think you really need a good width. That's the whole point of fogs. You want them to be refined. You don't want to have any glare on the road blinding you as you're driving by and not even be able to pay attention to your low beam or high beam. Morimoto really intends for you guys to upgrade your low beam, your high beam also, and this is your supplemental light. So you don't really need something super intense. If you did want something super intense, put an off-road pod light or something in your fog light area. We've done that a lot on this channel. They're super bright. I've got them in my Ford Bronco. They're really, really bright and they're very useful. But if you want something that's more for the streets, this is it. The Morimoto XP fog lights are fully compliant with the latest SAE J583 F3 and ECE R19 regulations for on-road use in America and in the EU. The major difference between the original XPs and the XP Evos is that there is an Evo Plus. So there's now the XP, which is more of an entry-level fog light, and you can still install that. We're still selling it on our website. The XP Evo and the XP Evo Plus. The major difference is with the XP Evo Plus, you can now, out of the same fog light, do both yellow and white. So you have that consistent, perfect beam pattern no matter which color you choose from. And all you gotta do is turn your lights off and back on, and the color will change. That's pretty impressive, and you really cannot get that light output to look the exact same because, you know, you got LED chips, you got some yellow, some white. If the power source is no longer from here, but right here on these LED chips, you're going to have a completely different beam pattern often. So you really have to refine the optics inside of this housing to get you a really crisp beam pattern that we want. And that's really hard to do. Like I said before, the pricing is subject to change all the time, but as of now, the Evo Plus comes in at around $220. That's where they do both yellow and white. The XB Evo that just does white is gonna be around $185, which makes the original XBs that you've seen on our website for years and years only $150. They really went with that good, better, best mentality when it comes to their fog lights. The Evo Fogs use the Osram Oslan PL chips, and they're paired with advanced optics. They've also formulated a new hard coating that meets and exceeds Toyota standards for resistance against cracking, fading, and yellowing lenses from UV exposure. Since Toyota has the best in class, they wanted to do even better. Lastly, the Morimoto XB Evos have a 10-year warranty, so if you're gonna install these in your vehicle, you're not gonna have any issue. The Diode Dynamics was an 8-year warranty. This is a 10-year warranty. Take that into consideration when you're purchasing your next upgrade. Now let's check out the Auxbeam. Now I already know this is going to be a long video and it's probably a little boring, I apologize, but what's not boring is this product right here. This is from Auxbeam, and they've got a bunch of other features. It's not just on or off. I wanted to show you guys, it is a really cheap product. You can get it for around 55 bucks. You can have this work as a daytime running light. You can also have it work as a turn signal. You can also have it work as a fog light. It's a lot of stuff that you're gonna have to connect. As you can see here, you've got bare wires, and this is definitely not waterproof. That's something you gotta be worried about. If you're gonna have all these other wires attached to the back of this, even if this is IP67 rated, the last thing you see here that is waterproof is this connection right here. I don't like doing a bunch of connections. I really like to just unplug something and plug it back in and let it work properly and have it be a good improvement. But if you have the extra features, I guess you gotta put in the little extra work. In the box, you've got all of this extra wiring, and they're really just kind of leaving you up to it. Yeah, there's an install guide online, but it is not very intuitive. So if you're not the type of person that wants to actually modify your vehicle, this would not be for you. I find it silly that the listing does say DOT approved, considering the DOT doesn't actually approve anything. If it says DOT compliant, that makes sense. It's either compliant or not compliant. That's just a lighting nerd talking, and not to mention the DOT is generally hands off with fog lights from my understanding. It's actually the SAE, and on their listing, this does say SAE compliant. I'd love to actually see their data to see if it's actually SAE compliant, because looking at that output, I just cannot believe it. The LED chips produce a 6500K white light source with 5,000 lumens according to their listing. They are plug and play, except you do have to obviously modify it to get the rest of the functions and features to work. It gets really funny when you're diving into the warranty of these. They say, contact your seller. I dove into Auxbeam's website. I did see it looks like a 30-day warranty, but you can purchase an extended warranty for it if you'd like. If you love spending all of your money on a product that absolutely blows, the Recon fog light is for you. As you can see, for $419, you get it in a really crappy box, and to be honest, I hate this fog light. The reason being, it's a spot beam pattern. Look at that light output. What is the point of a beam pattern that looks like that if you've already got a low beam and a high beam? It is absolutely stupid. Now, I will say this is the only one that has LEDs shooting down on reflectors. So this is a reflector-based fog light. You would think you'd get a better beam pattern. Oftentimes with reflector-based fog lights, I do see a little more scattered light, but this just bunches it up right in the center. This is not gonna help me see into the ditches. I don't know what Recon was thinking with this beam pattern. Maybe they couldn't refine it, or they just wanted you to waste all of your money. All I'm saying is I do not recommend this to anybody, not my friends or anything. Why would you spend $419 on a product that just sucks? You would think for this price you would have a lifetime warranty, and simply that is not the case. When you dive in deep, it says if the issue relates to your Recon products within the first 30 days of receiving the product, fill out and return the Recon warranty return authorization sheet. Looks like you can also purchase the extended warranty as well. And we all know that purchasing an extended warranty just means that the manufacturer does not truly stand behind their product, and so they have to sub it out to a third party. You can extend it for 1 year, 2 year, or 3 years, depending on which coverage term you selected at checkout. Now, there is another product that does what the Morimoto product does that you just saw, which was the Alpharex one here. This does both white and yellow. They call it the double tap. So you turn your lights off, turn them back on, and boom, now you've got a yellow beam pattern. The only issue is that when I was using this table and doing it against the wall, or when we got those shots outside, I could notice that the yellow beam pattern definitely moves up and scatters the light. It was not the exact same as the white beam pattern. I do know how hard it is to get those optics to be as refined as possible to get the same beam pattern. I heard the grumblings from Morimoto for years when they were developing the XB Evo fog lights. It's not easy to do, and they just have not been able to overcome that obstacle. But at the end of the day, this is a pretty cool middle tier fog light. At the time of this video, this was $150. And it was plug and play when we installed it on our truck. The white light output produces that 6500K color, which seems to be about standard for light output when it comes to that white, and then that 3000K color for that yellow output. The Alpharex fog light does have a 2-year warranty, which is better than some that we've seen. Now for my favorite part of the video, what is best? What would I truly recommend to you guys to upgrade your vehicle? Now, I love this part because when I go to the comments section, it's totally different. Every single comment is, no, get this one, no, this one, have you tried this one? Post it in the comments. I want to try more. I want to do more. So if you're going to base your buying decision based off solely brightness, when it comes to fog lights, the top 3 are Recon, which in my opinion was trash because it's overpriced, Auxbeam, and the really cheap Amazon product, Bicyaco, or however you say it. Not the winners you expected of this video, and truly that's because I wanted to show you guys that even though they're bright at a certain point, it's not the whole story when it comes to fog lights. Yes, we all like bright fog lights in theory, but if they're not in the ditches or putting the light where you need it, it's actually pointless. If you base it off of brightness, sure, get one of those, you're gonna be in good luck. You just have to replace it now and again because there's no warranty. The best warranty out of all of these is the Morimoto. The Morimoto has that 10-year warranty. The Diode Dynamics is the second best warranty with that 8-year warranty. If you're basing your opinions on which one is best solely off of features, I guess in my opinion, the Auxbeam actually takes the cake because it can also do turn signal, daytime running light. However, I do not want to be the guy to install it. And I can't imagine that's going to be waterproof, so it might have to be replaced multiple times. Hopefully not, but that is what would take the cake for the features. Now the most important part, what about beam pattern? With that 106-degree angle of light, the Morimoto is the widest beam pattern and it's the most refined in my opinion. So that would take the cake. Second runner-up, really close, would be the Diode Dynamics. The Diode Dynamics in the description said 100-degree. If you stack those right next to each other, Morimoto is just a little bit further on the edges, and so that's what I would choose for my own vehicle. Again, it's up to you guys which one you choose. Go to headlightrevolution.com, type in your year, make, and model, and we'll show you guys all the other products that we've tested that are actually good for your vehicle.